Good afternoon, guys. So, hope you are not that sleepy. And also, I know you had a very wonderful lunch. And hopefully, after my talk, nobody really feel in sleep. So okay, my second time here, and thank you so much for getting me here again. And I don't know why, like always, China Connect pick up like very nice weather to do the events. So I really enjoy it from the very beginning. It's been crazy, um, time for me. Well, actually, I will be in Europe, for 2/3 of my time this month. I was in Spain yesterday, then today, tomorrow in Paris. Then after that, I will be Switzerland. Then after that, I will be in Germany at CB. So I think it's amazing, and also it's very exciting. We see because we're based in China, it's very exciting to see how China is getting more and more involved with the global tech ecosystems, and how more and more people are getting more and more kind of interested in Chinese market, and everybody want to come to China because the market is huge. So I think to start this afternoon, I just want to give you everybody our like very general, hopefully useful ideas about the latest trend of the Chinese, the tech space. And to start with, I think just for some people probably you don't know, Techno very quick. We basically were media. It started as my personal blog, years ago, but as a company, has been running that for like 4 years. Now it's the fifth year. We used to have just my own blog, but now we have 17 people. It's being a blogger and also being an entrepreneur is hard, but it's also happy journey for me. So it's really grateful for everyone and supporting us. And we running Techno, which actually we have three versions. Chinese is the biggest focus, which have English content. Actually, we had French. We still have French content because actually we launched the French side right after the last edition of China Connect. But because I've been keeping, everybody told me, French people, that you don't like speak English and you don't read English. But actually, you guys are lying. So we launched the French version, and we realized actually you guys still read English. So actually we stopped doing that, but the site's still there. I think it's but I think it's still valuable. But I think English is good enough for everyone. And we signed the kind of agreement with TechCrunch, so we also manage TechCrunch event, TechCrunch business in China. So yeah, I think it's myself is like startup guy. So it's very good experience for me to run Techno. I still remember when we started, we organized like 100 people like events, but we did last year in Beijing, we have 5,000 people showing up in our conference. So we also moved from online, we also moved to the offline. We manage our own co-working space in Beijing. Now we're working on our Shanghai space. I think if everything is okay, I think the space will be open in May. Basically, we want to create a community for the startups, not just online, also offline. Actually, this is just like the photos. Well, it's not that real, but that's how it look like for our Shanghai co-working space. We have like 3,000 meter squares. So I think to start with, when everybody talk about China, always figures because giving the populations, I don't think figures surprise anybody. But if you look at the figures, I think that by end of 2014, so here's how we look like. I think for the internet user, we reach 649 millions in China. If you look at the mobile internet user, I think is catching up very quickly. So if you go China, I think everything is on mobile now. All the business are on mobile. So here's some other highlights. I found it's quite interesting. Also by end of 2014, And if you look at the like mobile phones, and I think it's quite interesting if you see. I think that's is kind of reflection of the latest trend and how people access the internet. If you look at, like, for example, the travel apps, probably the fastest growth in the user numbers. If you look at the instant messaging, I think we mentioned Weibo this morning. I'm going to mention more about WeChat later on. Like 91% of smart users use mobile messaging, I think mostly on WeChat. And also, it's quite interesting to see the video content as well. I think probably 1 year, 2 years ago, we're still on the PC side, but now it's really catching up. We are watching video on mobile because of 3G, 4G, and now everybody started talking about 5G. And also for the TV, I don't know if I have a figure here. Yeah, the second point, 60%, 16% of kind of internet users, we have smart TV now. So if you're thinking about delivering digital content, I think it probably is the right timing to think how you can deliver content on the TV, because 16% actually is not, well, looks like small, but given the user base, actually it's a lot of people using, they can access content directly from TV, on the TV. So here's some outlines. I think you heard a lot about like the e-commerce probably this morning. For me, I think I'm more interested on the on the tech side. So I'm going to give a kind of overview about what's BAT doing. Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. These are the biggest guys in China. So what they are working on, and also some other interesting companies. I think 2014 is the one company's name that nobody can ignore, which is the Xiaomi. Also the market to watch. And when we talk about Tencent, I think now Tencent everything WeChat. So the Tencent, the QQ was still strong, but I kind of we kind of ignore QQ because we are all on mobile, and WeChat is kind of mobile messaging kind of replacement QQ now, to some point. So here's some interesting figures. I think I found quite interesting myself. So if you look at the the monthly active users, 468 millions for WeChat. And also, according to the survey, around 46% they use WeChat than anybody. So actually, for the WeChat, that's the only what we call super apps in China. I think that some other figures say in average, everyone, I think WeChat user, we open WeChat 10 times per day. That's the kind of average. I think for me it's open more than that. So here's the figures. Also some other figures. So not just personal, individuals using WeChat. So we see actually everyone, no matter you are doing e-commerce, you are medias, and so all the kind of organizations, they have their own kind of official WeChat account open. So here, over 60% WeChat user report opening the app more than 10 times daily. Also, the WeChat become a major channel for consuming content for high percentage users. 40% seek content through WeChat every day. So I think you can just take a picture. I think it's quite useful information. And also, WeChat is more than mobile messaging. The WeChat is like become a platform. So WeChat, I think probably 2 years, 3 years ago, we still compare WeChat with some other messaging apps like WhatsApp. But now, actually, it doesn't make any sense at all to compare those, because WeChat now is a mobile user platform. It's for entrepreneurs, for business, for organizations. I think for even mobile commerce. I can do everything on WeChat now. Buy stuff, backing, paying for the taxes, almost everything. So here's by the age. And you can see still WeChat is for young, for young generations. I think the majority is from 18 to 35. But it's amazing to see, some like what kind of old people they are on WeChat. For example, my parents is on WeChat, and my 3 year old kids. Well, he's not. He doesn't have an official account, but he knows send pictures and he knows send always message to me. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, and well, it kind of surprised. One day, I still remember one day, I found my father make a comments on my WeChat. I was what? So okay, so here's the number of contacts. Um, I think the mention this morning, and for Weibo, actually Weibo and WeChat, actually we have, I think it's kind of different categories. So on WeChat, on Weibo, you might have millions, fans, or even most people you don't know. But WeChat is it totally kind of relatively is like closed network for everyone. So if you look at the WeChat friends, I think average is 100 contacts, and so which means if you publish anything, mostly the information is seen by your close friends or people knows you. Um, but but I think this is interesting point because for me example I have I think more than 3,000 people on my WeChat friends. And so I'm really overwhelmed every day by people postings. And so I think it's, for me, I think I read some articles recently. Actually, there's some like kind of analysis. They are predicting WeChat might going a little bit down, or at least it's not going to grow that fast starting from this year because I think it's like a Twitter or like Weibo, and people find it's getting more noisy. Well, I found that myself. So I think WeChat is the one direction you should look at. But if like I remember there's some other kind of mobile social apps. I remember this morning we mentioned like a Nice, the Chinese like Instagram stuff. Actually, we have several kind of social apps. They focus on some vertical market, or you focus on like people, the young generation after 90s. So they think we found, I think WeChat is everything, but we still can find some rooms for the startups. So here's the data. So it's if you look at the figure, it's amazing here. Okay, that's the influence as well. So yeah, let's go through quickly on the lifestyles. And also, that's I just mentioned, and people pay cars or book cars or pay their taxis on WeChat. Okay, so what's next for the WeChat? I think, by the way, if you take photos, I think on that link there, you can find the full report for all the figures we had, in previous slides. So what's next for WeChat? Just very quickly, I think at least for my interest, what I look at WeChat next, the first is the advertisement. WeChat doesn't make money, that much money on the ads, but I think most likely WeChat, Tencent is going to launch kind of their ads systems on WeChat starting from this year. They have do some trials already. So basically, you're going to see some, it's like a Twitter, like featured or sponsored, tweets. So on your friends, like the thread news thread, you're going to see some ad there. And also that's the first one. The second is what we call IoT, Internet of Things. Actually, Tencent has been working with quite a few IoT companies because we call that super app. For example, they launched a partnership with a company called Ella. Ella is an IoT company. So basically, you can just open Ella's our official account on WeChat, and then you can control your night, the lights, the TVs, the anything. So so basically, the idea is if you open, if you one day maybe you can just WeChat to control everything, your cars. So it's, I think that's the clear direction they want to move to. So that's Tencent. For Baidu, it's just really quick. I don't have that much to say about about it actually. So it's still clear the leader in the market because Google is not there. I think still we don't see any side Google is going to re-enter China. And the Baidu is a bit lost in mobile world. With that said, because if you look at the Tencent, we have WeChat, it's like the #1 mobile apps, and people use that every day. But for Baidu, I think the only popular apps we use from Baidu is the map. The Baidu map is it's like a Google map. It's quite popular, but other than that, we don't see that many apps popular developed by Baidu. But they have some interesting move. For example, I think last year when we were here, we discussing, we have two kind of Uber copycat in China. One is Didi, which is invested by Tencent, and quite invested by Alibaba. And Baidu didn't get anything. But what they just did, Baidu invested in Uber, 600 millions, and to bring Uber. So I think that's the kind of strategy because I think Baidu they must quite are afraid of the other two guys. But it's quite interesting to see that Baidu has spent lots of effort on the hardware, like smart hardwares. The two, I think, the very good concept that come from Baidu. The first one, what you call Baidu Eye. And so it's I think they have some concept from the Google Eyes, but they have different directions. So that Baidu Eye. So they come with earphones, also cameras. So basically, the Baidu idea is if you wear that thing, then they click the button there. So they take pictures, then directly going to do a search, then going to tell you, what that object is like and how much that cost. So that's the kind of concept from there. And the second, I think this is very good. For me, I'm really looking forward to this. It's smart bike. It's called Baidu Bike. So it comes with auto, smart auto navigations. Come lots of things, but we haven't seen the real one. But I think for me, it's a really interesting movement because bike, in China, is such a popular stuff. So for Alibaba, I think we don't need to mention that much about Alibaba because everybody knows that. But what I want to mention now is that the one kind of financial arms for Alibaba, I think you have to look at, and it's called Ant Financial. I think it's a financial arm. So I think not much people outside China knows that, but it's getting more and more strong in China. And for example, they launch our kind of feature called Sesame Credit. It's kind of credit systems. I think I have a figure here. So this is like screenshot for Sesame Credit. I think the reason I mention that because probably in China, we don't have a well-established credit systems. And because everybody we are buying stuff on Taobao or Alibaba for years. So actually, Taobao, Alibaba have all the data, most of the data, on the consumer side, on the e-commerce side. So Alibaba take that and launch a credit. Basically, they want to rebuild the credit system for all the Chinese. So if you look at the figure here, it's gather all the informations, as I said, gather information from the partners, public agencies, financial institutions, and also, of course, from Taobao's, Alipay's. Because we've been doing the shopping for 10 years, So if you look at the figure, credit here, everybody can give a score. I think 900 is like a maximum. So, but it tell you the credit histories, the socials, so you have gather all the information. Then I think later on, the next movement is Alibaba is going to push the credit systems into all the commerce for everyone or for all the commerce. So for example, if you go to buy something, maybe the merchant can check your credit first using the Sesame Credit, and then kind of make some judgment, say, okay, you are a good guy or bad guy, which never happened in China before. So that's Alibaba, and also it's quite interesting to see the fight well, we say the war between Alibaba and Tencent. I think these two guys, they used to be, they running their own business. But now we see more and more cross overlaps. They investing, if you look at Tencent, the Tencent used to be like a social guy because they are the QQ, they're all about social messaging and social networks. But Tencent recently, like last year, they invest Jingdong is probably the number one competitors of Taobao or Alibaba business. And Tencent investing in that. Also, Tencent investing in Dianping with the Chinese Yelp. So if you see that Tencent is really aggressively moving to the e-commerce side. And so actually that's the kind of, it's a very threat to the Alibaba kingdoms. But on the other side, if you look at the Alibaba's movement, Alibaba also make a lot of effort by acquisitions, by investing companies, and move towards the social world. So you see the fight between, and so I think they are quite strong on that. So I think other than BAT, I think Xiaomi, I think probably everybody knows Xiaomi now. Xiaomi started in 4 years ago, well, a little more than 4 years ago. Now the valuations is 45 billion valuation, only 4 years. So it's amazing how Xiaomi grew in part of 4 years. And so here's some basic, like Xiaomi's 60 million phones sold last year, mostly in China, by already the number one phone manufacturers, phone makers of the world, and even beating Samsung and Apple. So it's just 4 years old. But I think for us is maybe everybody knows Xiaomi because the phone is cheap and good qualities. But I think the industry started kind of fear the Xiaomi's movement, not just because they are phone makers. Actually, what we are afraid of is Xiaomi is so aggressive into every corner of the kind of traditional business, not just the phone. Because I think you have time, you can do more research and look into the Xiaomi's kind of ecosystem of Xiaomi the kingdoms. So what they providing you, what they are offering you now, is not just a phone. You personally offer your personal stuff like phone, like a wristband, like support cameras. I think the last week, GoPro cost you like $300. They launched their own kind of GoPro clones. What the price? 300 RMB. So it's the same wristband costs you, I think in Xiaomi's wristband is like a jawbone, like 200 for jawbone. Xiaomi's costs you 80 RMB. So it's the function more or less the same. So it offer this and also offer you some home facilities and TVs, air conditioners, safe box. Also, the investment invested like a healthy company called iHealth. And also the investment like the online content, like iQIYI is also is like kind of YouTube, like YouTube in China. I also invest in data infrastructures. And even the rumors say that Xiaomi is working on their own car. So they are trying to copy the Tesla model. So it does so aggressive in everything. And I think just yesterday, I just read the news this morning. And yesterday, Lei Jun, the founder of Xiaomi, make an announcement, speak to the public, saying Xiaomi going to beat Apple in 10 years. So I don't know if we can do that, but that's their ambition. So I think that's the last slide. So if you look at the market, I think online to offline, I don't know if you are familiar with this word, but basically it's like on-demand business. It's like Uber. I think the Uber, I think on O2O, what we call O2O in China, is probably the most hottest keyword in China in the internet in the digital market, and because O2O is going to kind of disrupt all the traditional business. I think start from Uber, we have some Chinese like Didi, Kuaidi, and now for takeaway, for example, the Chinese the startup called Ele.me, I think they receive, the $100 million from Tencent just last month or 2 months ago. So basically, you don't, imagine just for takeaway, you can just sit in there at home, just click the button, then you can send your stuff direct to your home. And also, it disrupts probably all the lifestyle business. You can download the app just for if you want for ladies, if you want nail polishing. You can download some apps, and then tell the guys where you are. Then they'll come to your home to do the nail polishing for you. You can even have your hair cut at home. You can have the car. You don't need to go to the car washing place. You can just sit there and they will come to your house. So everything is being disrupted right now in China because of the O2O concept. The IoT, I think IoT maybe is not that special because IoT is the trend of the global industry. But I want to put it here because I think that's a change. I think that's we have super advantage, and because Shenzhen is kind of heaven, used to be heaven for the copycat stuff, like for the cheap phone. But now, because Shenzhen we have very, mature kind of manufacturer chain, right? So I think everybody go for Shenzhen for hardware manufacturing. So I think this now, I think in Shenzhen, if you renew the Shenzhen government also, I think they is aware of that. I think they keep telling the public saying Shenzhen is going to be the next Silicon Valley of China because of the hardware. And also the last point is the globalizations. We see more and more Chinese companies that go, they go IPOs in New York or Nasdaq. And also we see more and more like small startups, relatively small startups, they go to the South Asia, China, and Japan, Korea. It's quite interesting. I was in Korea, I think 3 months ago. I catch up with with the CEO of Huawei. It's amazing to see Huawei now. They just set up, they have office there, but they just set up a kind of terminal department. They started selling Huawei phone in Korea to directly compete with Samsung. It's very ambitious. Also Southeast Asia. And also the last point I want to mention here is like the India. It's very funny because I was in MWC yesterday. I met lots of phone manufacturers from China. For example, Huawei, or ZTE, or Xiaomi, some other like Meizu, OnePlus. They're all looking at Indian market. Because I was in India last year, I do think that the Indian market looked like the China market about 5 years ago. So I think the Indian market for some reason become the #1 target for the Chinese kind of tech companies. Okay, that's all for today. And here's my Twitter and WeChat if you want to find me. Thank you.
That's a great overview.
Thank you. I hope
Really,
it's useful.
really a lot of points there
yeah.
to absorb.
Yeah, nobody slept, right?
No, I think everybody was listening attentively.
Okay.
My name is Rebecca Fannin, and I run Silicon Dragon, and we look at tech hotspots around the world, a lot in Asia from Silicon Valley perspective, covering news and events. I'd like to ask you from Silicon Valley's perspective, one of the things that we've been noticing is these Chinese tech titans coming in and buying into US startups. Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, Xiaomi, Renren, a lot of activity, and it's been fairly new in the last, say, 18 months. So why do you think that that's happening, and do you think it's going to continue, that these Chinese giant companies are coming in and buying up startups?
Yeah, I think it will keep continue, and I think they probably going to see more and more. I think the reason, I think that companies like BAT companies, they have plenty of cash, at home. They want to spend. I think the second reason, from my point of view, is if you see, I think what I mentioned maybe they all looks good, but if you look at another side, I think we still have to admit in China, at least for the startups, we don't have that much of truly innovative startups from China. People still copy ideas from states, from Silicon Valley mostly. So if you want to, I think in the Silicon Valley is still packed with very good talent and innovative companies. I think for BAT guys, I think it does make sense for them like to find more interesting companies and make investment. But also, I think this company they want to take the investment from BAT because everybody want the help to enter China. And with these guys at the backup, I'm sure life become much easier for them.
Yeah, if they have a board director from one of the Chinese tech companies, it gives them a lot of new connections on how
Yeah.
to enter the market, and it gives them a
Yeah.
lot of lessons and strategies
Yeah,
on
I
how
think
to
a
do
good
that.
example is like Uber. Uber is a billion company now. They don't need that much money, but they still took the investment from Baidu because they want Chinese market.
Right. So, what do you think about the reverse cycle of U.S. companies going into, or international companies going into the Chinese tech and innovation and digital market and e-commerce market? Do the Chinese companies already have that already taken, 100% saturation, no room left for any new international players? Because there really haven't been a lot of success stories of
Yeah.
internet. And so, what do
Yeah.
you think is the trend long term?
I think it's um, I think first of all, I think for me, I still encourage all the international company to go China to try the market. But the fact I think I agree it's still hard. Still, sometimes even some people think the China market is kind of separate. We have separate ecosystems. Because if you look at, for example, if you look at all the social medias, right? We have our own social media. We have our own Twitter or Facebook, or even like WeChat. So if you want to do anything in China, you have to learn lots of stuff. You have to learn how to do the marketings, in the Chinese social medias, and you have to learn, like for example, also if you think maybe in Silicon Valley or here, if you think you have the best technologies, you think you can do in the world. But in China, actually, it's not. Chinese market is not technology driven. Just my opinion. Chinese market still is the kind of market driven. I think if you look at startups, well, if you do one startups, maybe the second day you're going to see tons of startups doing the same thing. But the end of the day, who is going to win the war? I don't. Most likely, is not the if you have the best technologies, probably you don't. It doesn't guarantee you can win the war. It's
Because China's playing by its own rules.
yeah, and you have to know, know how to raise lots of monies. You have to know how to pitch your customer, the market. Even product side, you are not that good at all, but you can still do that.
And it's a hyper competitive market too, and very fast paced. I think
Yeah.
it's probably the most fast paced market in the world. And
Yeah.
the most entrepreneurial, I think, too.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's probably it's easier because mobile, from first day is global. So I think maybe, and it is easier than before, but still is a lot of lesson you have to learn. If you want to win, if you're kind of if you want, I think let me put this way: if you want to be top 3 in China, it's very hard. But if you can lower down your expectations to be like number 4, number 5, I think it's not that hard. And given the fact the market is huge enough, even your number 4, maybe it's good enough to start with. So I think it's a lesson we learn. I think that in the past 10 years, when all the most probably from Silicon Valley, when Silicon Valley companies come to China, they are so ambitious. I mean, the kind of overconfidence. They say, okay, we have the best technologies. We are the number 1 in the global market. We come to China, we must be number 1. But actually then the turns, they are wrong. It's not that easy. But
Yeah.
when they come, if they lower down the expectations, maybe I think it's still accessible. I mean,
Yeah, but you may not want to enter a market if you're going to be 4th and 5th.
yeah. I mean, it's
It may not be worth it. I think in the American companies at least go in thinking they're going to be number 1, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of them have lost out on that battle. But it's interesting you talked about how you think the Chinese technology companies and digital companies are not really all that innovative. And I think there's been a lot of progress in terms of innovation from just copying maybe 5 years ago. But would you say that Chinese companies are ahead in monetization, in figuring out ways to monetize their products? Can you talk a little bit about how China is ahead in monetization?
Yeah, I agree. I think we see more and more kind of innovation from China, but still, I think for innovation we still not that much. I think in China we have where we say we have a term we call that micro innovations, right? So micro innovation actually the last word to describe innovation, but in other words, we are not. I think Chinese not very good at kind of technology innovations. We are very good at the as you said monetization innovations or marketing innovations. We take the product from Silicon Valley, and then very quickly we find a way to monetize that. I think it's the best example is WeChat. WeChat, take an idea from WhatsApp, whatever. There's so many in the global market, and WeChat started as a voice messaging, right? So is that just the 100% copy? Then after several months, but now if you can now, as I said, it's become platforms, reach every corners. But if you look at the WhatsApp, it's been running so many years, even still have billions of users, still voice messaging. So I think it's probably that's basic examples.
Yeah, it is really interesting how many of these Chinese companies have expanded from their original core business and have gone into so many related businesses. And this is something actually even the U.S. companies have not done or the European companies haven't done. So this is another area
that's
where
kind of Chinese philosophies.
yeah, surround them, right? Surround them and win. And Alibaba is probably the best example of that. Alibaba has everything: Alipay, Ali whatever.
I think it's for me. I don't think it's good, but it's always happened. I think in China, as I said, it's Chinese philosophies. It's kind of history. Like everyone is like, if you think you are big, at one vertical market, China always think, I'm going to take that advantage to reach all the market to compete with everyone.
Yeah.
It's like Alibaba, everybody like Xiaomi's. Xiaomi started just a phone, but now everybody hates Xiaomi because they want to eat everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to squash all the startup ideas.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I think in the interest of time, we maybe have time for one really quick question from the audience. Anyone? Okay. All the way in the back there.
Hello.
Could you identify yourself?
My name is Alex Nam. I'm country manager of EMEA in City Networks, cloud web acceleration company. I just don't want to make a small comment that from a foreign point of view, because I've been doing business with China for a long time, even before joining City Networks. The thing we have to understand as a foreigners is, in Chinese market, there's no fair competition there, which means there are a lot of regulations, and we need to have a lot of license, all those different stuff, you never understand it, which means sometimes you just have to admit it, and sometimes you never knows what's going on there, right? So one of the biggest thing is, like, for example, the big, I just mentioned, like BAT, all those companies, they're grown up with, from very small companies. And I see in Chinese markets, they're very, very fast to follow other innovative products so far. And then once they've grown up based on huge domestic markets, and they now have a lot of cash, and then attacking everywhere in the world. For example, year 2008 was...
a quick question, do you have?
Sorry. So I just want to make a comment on for the edge of foreign country.
Okay.
This is not a question about it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any question, any last question? Yes, right here. Just wait for the mic to come to you quickly here.
Excuse me, I'm Eric Pestad from Lucadoc, but actually it's not a question. but but it's not a comment. It's not a comment either. Just
You're too nice to us.
You show in a slide.
He answered everything, right?
Yeah, in a slide you show a link to know if I get more information about WeChat, and I would like to know if we can have the link again, or it was at the end. It was at the end
Okay.
of the WeChat presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And
Okay, thank you.